if you've been living under a rock, on the moon, on a boat in the ocean, or if you were just simply enjoying the day outside, touching some grass with your dogs, doing something with your family, doing some housework, and you just decided to disconnect from social media and your telephone. Number one, first and foremost, I commend you. But number two, you missed one of the biggest Ornstein Bombas in history. How's it? Welcome back into another episode of the Arsenal Standard. I'm BG. You guys already know that. But joining me are two lads from the Best Coast. Jumping back in here with us right away is Mikey Hurst. Mike, what's up, buddy? How are you?
What's going on, gentlemen? I've been battling you guys all day. Partially true, partially trolling, but I think I'm the only Ulster supporter out there not as excited as everybody else. Believe it or not, but it's been well documented, and I got to stay consistent at the very least with my opinions. I've never been the biggest Vinny Jr. fan, so I mean, don't say I'm a flip flop.
Did we just get a Hers Bomba live on air? What? Crazy.
It seems like it, man.
Always expect the unexpected here on the Arsenal Standard. And, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the one, the only Stan, the man, back on the program again after a week off. But, hey, we were off too. Stan, how are you?
I'm good. Good to see you both.
Likewise.
Mikey, how are you? Been a while since I've shared a screen with Mike. But I'm the opposite. I mean, if we're talking about bombers, I suppose a Stanley Bomber would be like, this is great news for me. This is like early Christmas. You know, this is like FIFA coming to life. Do you know what I mean? Like you're getting the top-rated FIFA players are coming to your club. It's like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, it was something else, and I'm just going to start off. I'm going to read the tweet, and there are a few things, and I'll just kind of, I guess, talk briefly about where the show is going to go. I mean, obviously, we're going to give our opinion on, what it is, how we feel about Vinny Jr. I don't know that we need to get into too much about where he fits with Arsenal Football Club. We know where he fits. He's going to play on the left wing if this actually comes to fruition. But there are some things inside the tweet itself that I actually want to get into. But if you'll allow me, I'm going to read it out. Siren emoji, exclusive. Arsenal exploring move to sign Vinicius Jr. from Real Madrid. AFC interest early stage and clubs not yet in talks, but idea approved at all levels. Much rests on contract process as no breakthrough yet, and Real Madrid do not want a free exit. So the first thing, before we get into opinions of the player, do we want Arsenal to sign him? The first thing that jumps out to me about this tweet is clubs not yet in talks, but idea approved at all levels. Now, I don't know what that means from a Real Madrid standpoint, if they've approved negotiations to commence, but I'm taking this as Arsenal have approved this at the highest level, meaning ownership. Ownership are on board and basically are gonna sign off on the check, whatever that might be, to go and get Vinny Jr. And I'm curious, just Stan, I'll start with you. Hearing the tweet, reading the tweet, is there anything that jumps out at you from a wording standpoint that you want to dive into and maybe pick apart a little bit, read between the lines, so to speak?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear something like this is that, we're not alien to be doing business with Real Madrid. We've done quite a lot of business with them over the past, going right back to Mesut. Mm-hmm. That was a deal that was done nicely between clubs. We've had players like Ceballos from them. Mm-hmm. We've had players that have come on loan and the players that have stayed on loan. Who was the other one that we had? Is it Denis Suarez?
Denis Suarez, yep.
Another one.
Odegaard, of course.
No, and Martin
Odegaard, yeah. Yep. Came on loan, and then we went back and done a deal. So there seems to be a good relationship between the clubs. And, I read quite a lot about Vinny Jr. If it pops up on my timeline, I like to know what's going on because I've been trying to follow this stuff. Where I stand on this, it's like, I've always said that you can sell any player that you want from Arsenal. I'll try not to get attached. But the caveat is that they have to be upgraded on. The player coming in has to be an upgrade. When it comes to the left wing, and Vinny Jr., if you're looking to upgrade your left wing, you've capped out. That's it. You don't go. There's nowhere to go after that. You know, in the world of football, that is the final boss of the left wing. You can't. There's nowhere else. There's no roots. There's nowhere else to go from it. So to find that my club is now at a stature to be linked with those kinds of players, that's where we should be aiming for. That has to be the pinnacle. And you know, as I was saying about following the stuff with Vinny Jr., obviously because Real Madrid have been trying to offer him a contract. I think he's on 15 million euros already. They've made him an offer of 20 million euros, and he wants 30 million euros, and double what he's on. That's a lot of money, but it's not my money. And if Arsenal are willing to do some kind of a deal, and obviously with Madrid, him not signing a contract means that he can leave on a free time. They don't want to happen. And I was reading one story where they were saying that if there is they find a suitor and it can be agreed as an incentive from Madrid to make the deal happen, they'd be happy to give a percentage of the transfer fee to Vinny as a sort of, as a kind of like a golden handshake kind of a thing, you know.
Bit of a make weight, if you will.
Yeah. So, I was trying to think about one of the ways that Arsenal could get this through without it. You know what it's like with football fans. You always look how much are they getting per week, and you always look for the figure, right? It's the only industry where we talk about how much someone gets paid per week.
Mm-hmm.
None of us get paid per week. We'll get paid maybe bi-weekly or monthly, but for football players, it's per week. And maybe one of the things that they could do is include in his package quite a nice signing on fee, which could offset a salary, so that it's a softer blow when people look it up. It doesn't, but that's none of my business when it comes to the finances. But I think a deal could be done. Just as I said, the two clubs have done a lot of business with each other. And I think it's a case of if Vinny Jr. says, yeah, I'm up for this move, then Arsenal are basically saying, then we will make it happen. That's what I'm getting from this. If Vinny Jr.'s sold and moving to London and he has a phone call with Arteta or whatever, and he wants the move to happen, then Arsenal are saying that they will push the boat out to get this done.
Yeah, Mikey, I'm going to come to you next on the tweet itself, and just you can dive into your opinion if you want. I know you kind of don't agree with the rest of us here, so I'm very, very curious to get your take on this. But
yeah, it's Mike versus the rest of us.
Yeah, right.
My joke before I fell asleep on you guys was you should change the podcast name to the Arsenal Lost Standards since we're buying below players is so partially was it teasing, partially I was just literally just being a troll for the day because I saw everybody excited and I was decided, you know what, I'm in a new group, I might as well have some fun. Is he a great player?
Ever the contrarian, Mike. Ever the contrarian.
Yes, just you just have to. But okay, so this is a few things. I'm not as laid back and thrilled about missing out on Rodgers as others. And maybe thrilled is, being a little bit of a prick to describe it like that. But I'm not as laid back and okay with the deal not happening. Because I'm a big believer that if the manager wants a player, you should try to accommodate the player. And since my last time on the podcast, it's easy to admit now that, of course, that 117 looks a little bit inflated, specifically now that we of course saw two Chelsea players go the opposite direction, or soon to be potentially Jackson. I believe I heard that might be they're looking into it.
The Garnacho deal is virtually done, according to David Ornstein. It's a loan with a buy obligation for next season. So yeah, go figure. Go figure. Chelsea doing something to cook their books.
Second thing that I thought about the wording of the message as you read it out and you remind me of it is knee-jerk reaction. Anytime I hear, and this happened to me with Alvarez as well, when they said, Arsenal are in the mix, and with Vinny Jr., they're like, they're exploring possibility of Vinny Jr. What screams to me is like, I get it, bro. You just probably won another 100K on your weekly, right? You want 400 potentially, and now you want 500, and you're leveraging Arsenal in order for you to get this your contract bump. That's another realistic, like, something that crossed my mind. Now, what is helpful for me hearing the verbiage and what Orny tweeted, and you have to just kind of take it as face value with what he said was he said that everybody within the club is aligned on this transfer. Now, I start thinking about the Solis transfer, where he did an interview shortly after his arrival, and he said, "Yeah, they essentially Arsenal." Mikel Arteta asked him, like, "I just need to ask you, are you all in? I have one question for you. Do you love Arsenal?" And Solis said, "Yes." And Mikel Arteta just simply replied, "We'll handle the rest." And the next thing you know, Solis is an Arsenal supporter. So, all that said, to say, I would like to believe that if somebody within the club briefed David Ornstein to greenlight this tweet that came out, or his sources gave him the go to tweet this and say everybody within Arsenal are aligned, I would like to believe they're approaching this deal because there's a real possibility. So that I'm going to say that eases my mind a little bit that Vinny Jr. is only exclusively using Arsenal as leverage for a better contract at Real Madrid. On the player side, on the sporting side, this is very well documented for me. I hate players that dive, and I hate players that are like drama queens on the field. It's one of the constant battles that I had, that like Neymar was never like a top 3, top 5 player for me, because like I can't take a player like that serious. Vinny has a reputation, and he does it a lot. He exaggerates contacts. He does some grimy shitty thing, like we all saw the gift when he did it with like Bayern Munich about like wasting time with the ball. He rolls around on the ground a lot. It's not my cup of tea. On the field, he is good. I can't deny that he's good. Now, if you want to like start really boiling down and really criticizing him, I'm like, yeah, I think his max stat was like 15 goals. In La Liga, 16, excuse me, in La Liga, a tournament which is pretty much 2 teams. I don't know. Like, you talk about some of the greater players in La Liga, and David Villa was scoring more than 15. They were doing like 20, 30. Messi 20, 50s, Ronaldo 50. So like we say like this guy's a massive elite player, and I'm like, why isn't he doing massive elite player numbers like other bigger names that existed before him? So that's just me just being like super nitty gritty with the sporting thing, because like, again, I have a massive issue with the diving, and the diving has caused me to appreciate or underrate several players in history that the community as a whole says, oh my God, they're so good. And I'm just kind of like, fuck, but I hate them, dude. So now I have to live in this alternate universe in which, if this guy actually comes to Arsenal, I gotta figure out a way to love this man, because I'm like, but at the same time, I truly think if he starts diving all over the place, I don't think Mikel Arteta can be thrilled with that. So that might be ironed out by itself. So well, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Sorry, Mike, go ahead.
No, and I think that's the only reason I brought up the Rodgers thing. Because initially everything indicated that Rodgers left wing, and it's clearly not a financial thing for them, because if they're going after Vinny Jr., they're 100% aware that it's going to cost similar to Rodgers, probably. I don't know if this is so much of a pivot as more of a market opportunity, but it's just all playing in the back of my head is all. So excited to see where it could go, but maybe instantly not as excited as everybody else.
Well, I think in general, and Stan, you kind of alluded to this, that this is really now kind of the only store we can really shop in. Let's face it, as I've said before, the better we get as a team, the smaller the group of players becomes that actually make us better. This is one of those players. He is Mikey, whether you agree with it or not, he is one of the top 3 best left wings in the world. And I'm being generous to the world when I say 3 because he might be 2. It would be between him and Kvaratskhelia for top left wing in the world. I would struggle to think of another one. But this is now the bin that we shop in, is a world-class player that's going to cost $150 million, and we cannot shy away from that number. And I think, kind of going back to my original point of the tweet and the idea that all parties are involved in this. It's been effectively approved by, again, I'm choosing to read this as approved at all levels. I'm choosing to read that as ownership have signed off on this. And we'll come into the Arteta aspect of that statement as well in a little bit. But this is now where we're going to buy our goods and our wares, because this is who we are now. We're now the Premier League champions. We're champions of the best league in the world, the most competitive league in the world. There really are only so many players that are going to make us better, and those players are going to cost what this is going to cost. And, I think Arsenal will also look at this as, and I think, Stan, you said it as well, that this is not just it's not just an opportunity to make the team better and improve the quality of players and the product on the pitch. But there's a business opportunity here for Arsenal as well. We saw when Victor Gyökeres was announced last summer, record shirt sales in one day for Victor Gyökeres. But then Eberechi Eze is announced, Mike, hold your ears, and record shirt sales again for a day with Eberechi Eze when he gets announced. This is going, if this actually happens, and I guess I need to caution everybody that while two of us are probably going to be pretty excited about the prospect of this deal happening, it is not yet done. There is, as of tonight, no club-to-club contact. There's been no official offer made. There's been no price tag even associated with the player. But I think Arsenal would look at this and say, there's a marketing opportunity here, because he is so big in the world of football, and Arsenal simply have to figure out a way to capitalize on that, because that will help. If you've got a weak stomach for what the fee is going to be to bring Vinny Jr. to Arsenal, look at the business opportunity and the marketing opportunity that you're going to have with a player of this stature, and the things that you're going to be able to do and recoup that money, sure, from other avenues, but you'll make some of this money back. If it's 150, 160 million pounds, euros, whatever it might be, shirt sales alone are going to cut into that. On the first day, shirt sales alone are going to cut into that. Stan, obviously he fits on the left wing. That's what he is. That's where he's going to go. To me, he makes everybody else around. He's going to make other players around him better by virtue of just being who he is and his ability, because now teams are going to have to worry about him, and he will become the focal point of defending for an opponent. So I guess just talk to me a little bit about, he fits on the left wing, making other players around him for Arsenal better. Talk to me a little bit about that.
I think the numbers that when Mike was speaking about it were a little bit unfair, because I think some of those players play a little bit more central. To come up with 16, I think, in the league on the left wing, I think they're good numbers. And he's a big game player. He scores on the biggest of stages. Where he fits in on the wing, he can go on the inside, he can go on the outside. He can cross a ball in. He can worm his way through tight defences and score goals. He's a quality footballer. There's no doubt about it. But just something I wanted to if I could just circle back a little bit. Mm-hmm. When Mike said about Morgan Rogers and, if he's the manager's top pick, that the club should do more to make sure that the manager gets his top pick. How do we know it wasn't a situation where this is the guy that Mikel Arteta did want, and he had a certain price in mind of what he was happy to pay for him, and then when the news came back to him that Chelsea have just gone in for 117 million, what do you want to do? How do we know that he didn't put his head together with Berta and they said, well, look, if we're going to go there, if we're going to spend that kind of money, why don't we just go all in and get get Vini Jr. So no, we're not going to make another counter bid. How do we know it wasn't the manager that, when he heard it was 117, decided that he was going to pivot? As much as he maybe wanted Morgan Rogers, he probably never envisaged that it was going to be 117 million. And he figures that, well, you know what? If we're going to go big, then fuck it. Let's really go big, and let's put out some good money and go for Vinicius Jr. Maybe it's a situation like that. Not necessarily the club not backing the manager, but the manager's.
Nope. Did we lose Stan? Stan, you froze. Not sure if we lost Stan or not. No, I just to what he just said, I wholeheartedly agree that yeah, if you see that price, you're like, why would I do that for a player that I don't value as much as a guy that may Stan? I don't know if you could hear us. You froze there for a minute. If you want to jump in and finish your thought.
I was finished. Sorry.
No, that's all right. But I was just saying that I agree that if you see all of a sudden that eye-watering price tag on Morgan Rogers, and you say if it's going to take that, I may as well just pony up another 30 million and go get a player that is an out and out left wing. I don't have to worry about transitioning a player to a new position that he apparently isn't completely sold on anyway, and is one of the top players at his position in the world. And the only thing, Mike, that I'll say about the numbers, the goals, I also think that there was a level that Vinny Jr. decided to decelerate to toward the end of the season, simply because I think he was saving himself for Brazil in the World Cup. So the biggest thing in terms of sporting and on-field product, the one thing that would worry me is Arteta wants everybody, look, you do it all. You do it. You track back. You play defense. You pick a man up. You try to win the ball when you can. Everything off the ball is so important to him. And boy, you watch Vinny Jr. and you see some. If you actually watch the whole game, he doesn't do that. That's not really his cup of tea. Whether it's I don't want to do that. Whether it's that's not what any manager. Prior to anybody else, Xabi Alonso, I mean, that obviously that marriage didn't work. But that would be the only concern that he's again, the superlatives escape me at the moment. He's just simply one of the best players in the world. And he's going to put up numbers if this actually comes to fruition. So go ahead, Stan.
I just want to defend him a little bit. Sometimes I've heard people say, well, he comes with a lot of baggage. And I always think to myself, what exactly does that really mean? Are you saying that he's a person that has an opinion and, speaks out in his opinion? Because he has had to go through some shitty stuff playing this game. That's put him in the spotlight. That's not his fault. That's not his baggage. He's had to react to, the racism stuff that's happened to him, which has been a highlight. And then, if you're saying, well, he comes with baggage, do you mean that there is a circus around him? Well, there's going to be a circus around him because he's in that kind of Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Kylian Mbappe sphere, where there's a lot of media. He's going to have other concerns. I mean, there was a commercial for the new Spider-Man movie that Messi's in with Tom Holland. And it's almost like a little skit, like it could be part of the movie. They swing off together. And they paid Messi 15 million just to be in this commercial. Now, just to put that into context, Chris Hemsworth gets paid 15 million to play Thor in a whole movie. So Messi's getting that equivalent salary to be in commercials. That's just the kind of world that some of these players live in. And I'm willing to put up with some of that, if it means that we're going to get on the field what he can bring, because it could be the difference of, getting to a Champions League final, but actually winning it. And I think it was the first game in the World Cup that Brazil played. I can't remember who they were playing, but they weren't playing very well at all.
Morocco.
They were playing quite poorly.
Morocco. I like to say Morocco was playing very well. Vinny
Jr., he came up with a moment. He's that kind of player that They were playing terribly, but he still done what he needed to do and came up with something that got him that goal. You know, it was quite vital. So he's that kind of a player. He does have that mindset. Even if the rest of the team might not be doing so well, he's still going to do his thing. He's not going to shrink away. So yeah,
Yeah, and he's definitely like a moments player, and that's kind of something that I've heard regarding. I mean, even Morgan Rogers, I've heard people say he's a moments player, and you know what? To do the things that we want to do and the level that we're at now, I think we need that. I personally think we need a moments player because I think it's one thing that this squad lacks is a moments player.
May I provide one positive and two negatives, just to keep the conversation rolling, and for the sake of the debate, so to say, right? Hopefully, Stan the man can still hear me. Positive, as Sean points out in the live chat, he's an out and out winger, and Rogers is not. And you said it yourself too, Tanner, that you had, it's almost like you had to kind of convince him that was going to be his new position versus playing a little bit more centrally.
Right.
I see that as a positive. When I say baggage, I fully support what Stan is saying. Is if those pricks over there were being racist towards him, and he reacted because he's a human being, no problem. I totally get that. What I refer to as the baggage is, have you ever seen Vinny Jr. sprinting down to help his wing back? His left. I mean, and this is where the other Ryan would have been really interesting to have on the podcast, right? I just don't. So philosophy of the club, I've never seen, Miguel Arteta to just be okay with the player not defending from the front.
Lollygagging, as it were.
Lollygagging, as it were. The other one is when I refer to as baggage, and there's a bunch of unconfirmed. We don't know how the locker room down tools for Xabi Alonso. We don't know who it was specifically. When I say baggage, when it comes to Vinny Jr., it's not the reaction to the racism and the circus that are around him. It's the reaction of, like, if you YouTube it, I'm sure you'll find it with him getting subbed out and just acting like a fucking child. How well is that going to go down for us? If he comes down strutting, refusing to shake Mikel Arteta's hand, sitting on the bench, throwing water bottles and fucking acting all, it's not a good mix, gentlemen. It's just like we do so much work in the background for character. It just surprises me, as all. And
do you know, can I just say on that? Do you know how many times, I get what you're saying, but so many times you've had a football manager who's looked at a player, and I'll pick one player out of the air, someone like a Balotelli, who's been around a few clubs. They've got great talent. Yeah, the person's got the talent, but they've been around a few clubs. Maybe they turn up late a bit. Maybe they're very outspoken in the meetings. But you always get a manager that will look at that and go, "I can fix that. I can fix that." But the boy's got talent. I'll work with it. And who knows? Maybe it's one of those situations where, or I remember seeing an interview with Salah after one of his first seasons with Slot, and they said, "What is it that has made you play a little bit more better? You looked more happier this season." And he said, "I'm not having to go back as much. He's allowing me to stay up." And they were getting the best out of him by adjusting to that player. It could be something like that. You don't have to have your wingers, both of them, tracking back. Depending on if you've got a talent in your team that's going to remain upfield to be an outlet, you win the ball back deep, and then it gets up to Vinny, who's already got yards. That's exactly what, it could be a way of just changing our play, but we're so drilled at seeing Martinelli come back and the ball's cleared out of the box. You're like, who was that? And you're like, Martinelli? What's he doing there? Bloody hell. He's done it. You know what I mean? Maybe we have to get used to, and what has everybody said about last season's football? Even though we won the league, but a lot of people criticised that it was a little bit turgid looking at times. It wasn't adventurous enough. It wasn't appealing to the eye, but it got us over the line. So, we're going to be bringing in a player that is known for flair. And I would say that being away with Brazil, he's probably been speaking to Gabriel Megalegs and Martinelli. I mean, you would, wouldn't you? You'd be like, so what's it like? You just won the league.
Stan, I completely forgot that you called him Gabriel. I remember you calling him that years ago. It's great. That's great. Oh, I love it.
I just what I always,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That was,
But I mean, you would, wouldn't you? You'd be like, say, you just won the league. What's it like? What's it like living in London? You'd be asking questions, right? You've got the source right there. So they're not going to be going, well, yeah, it's really shit. You don't want to come here. They're going to be selling it, right? They're going to be like, never been happier. Premier League champions. And Vinny Jr. has won it all with Real Madrid, right? He's completed that. So
if we end up with Vinny and not Rodgers, we're gonna have to give bonuses to Gabriel and Martinelli, because apparently Saka and Rice were also talking to Rodgers, and they didn't get the deal done. So we need better players, is what I'm getting from this. So
Stan, as far as Morgan Rodgers, just real quick, Mikey, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Shoot.
Stan, have you ever seen the movie The Secret to My Success with Michael J. Fox? It's an old 80s movie.
I have, but a long time ago.
There was a scene in the movie where all of the people in the movie, they're on this retreat, right? And they're at this kind of cabin, house, whatever. But all of a sudden, like, everybody's trying to sleep with somebody, right? But it's like this person, but then that person wants to sleep with this person, and that person wants to sleep with another person, and it's a love octagon, basically, is what it comes down. But it's funny because it's like people are running in and out of bedroom doors, and they're crawling into bed with somebody who's kind of under the blankets. And anyway, Michael J. Fox, the character, ends up in bed, laying with nothing happened, but laying with.
I can't remember this.
His aunt in the movie. It's his aunt, and I mean, guys crawling into bed with guys, and like, oh my god, and everybody's free.
Yeah.
But anyway, the whole Morgan Rodgers thing in the England camp during the World Cup. That's the only thing I could think of is like Saka and Rice and Eza running into Morgan Rodgers' camp and Nani, like running into his hotel room, but then Rodgers running over to Reece James's hotel room, but then Reece James running over to like Ezri Konsa's hotel room, and like it just keeps going back and forth, and then all of a sudden like Declan Rice ends up with Jude Bellingham, and it's crazy. Nani ends up with Eza, and what's that?
I'll take Jude. Hold on. Let's convince Jude to come over here. I will shut the hell up about any transfer.
It just that I'm sorry. That's been like ever since last weekend. I've had that in my head. I'm sorry. That's completely off topic, if you will. Mike, I interrupted you. If you held your thought, please pick back up where you left off. I apologize.
No, I was just because I'm battering him over the goal things. I did a quick Google search. I do want to point out that he's not top 25 single season goal scorers. That's just a fun little fact that
of all time.
I mean, dude, Messi, Ronaldo, Messi, Suarez, Ronaldo, Hugo Sanchez, Sara, Messi, Ronaldo, Baltares, Messi, Ronaldo. Hugo Sanchez, Sara, Poster, Sanchez, Furlan, Mbappe, Cristiano, Messi. Top 25 goal scorers. Not even remotely close, because the list ends with 33 goals a season. I'm sure. Yeah, is Messi's hasn't been a forward his whole career. Cristiano Ronaldo,
hasn't he?
Yeah. No, we're both being very sympathetic one way or another. My question for you, Tanner, was just because we've had this constant conversation about our attack and our flair and this Moen's player, and I love Stan's rebuttal about Salah saying Salah doesn't make me track back. But have you ever? Does this seem like a reality to you? Like, do you see Mikel Arteta saying he doesn't allow Bukayo Saka to slack off, to not put in a defensive shift? So is this a reality in which you think we're gonna change the manner in which we play football, and Vinny Jr. is gonna be just quote unquote allowed to to not track back to the level of other players? Like we've almost had Mikel Arteta for 10 years, guys. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it myself, so I don't know. Like I'm hesitant to believe that Mikel Arteta would allow it.
So the Saka comparison, To a degree, I feel like that's a bit apples and oranges, simply because Saka, let's not forget that when he was 18, 19 years old, 20 maybe, he was also playing right back in games. So there's a defensive, he has a defensive, what's the word I'm looking for? He has a defensive aspect to his game. And in development, when he was a younger player, that was there. He was doing that. Do I think that Arteta will allow him to get away with it? I'll take umbrance with the words, not necessarily the idea of what you're saying. I think Arteta, well, see, I don't know, because I would like to think that Arteta understands that, look, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to ruffle some feathers, but it, kind of piggybacking off what Stan said about, it wasn't basically great football to watch, and it was dicey at best at times. The fact is, we survived the Premier League, in my opinion. That's the term I will use till the day that I die. We won it.
Where's Ryan when I need him?
I know. We survived it. We didn't, and again, context, goal scoring was down across the board. Manchester City, 77 goals in the league. That does not equate to 2 goals a game. It's one less. I get it, but the fact is, it's not sustainable. And I would hope that Arteta sees that and says, if this player who has the flair and the personality, the creativity, the expressiveness that he has, and the things that he can do with a football, I think I can trust in the rest of the players around him. He's one player of 9 outfield players. I'm not saying you allow him to do whatever he wants to do, but he is that kind of a player. And if Arteta does try coaching the creativity out of him, I'm getting to you, Mike. I'm getting to you. If he tries to coach out the creativity, you know what I'm going to say. Yeah. You know what I'm going to say. Tracking back, look, certain games, sure. We come up against City, he's going to have to put a shift in. He's going to have to, to cover some ground against Jeremy Doku over there on the left side. So I think it could be as OG Ryan famously likes to say, horses for courses. You know what? Against a team like a Fulham, Coventry, the newly promoted sides, teams that are basically bottom half of the table, that you say, look, it's at home, like, we should be able to put this to bed. They're going to sit back. We don't necessarily need to worry about him tracking back. They're going to play a low block against us. Give him the ball, let him do his thing. But when it's asked of him, then he does need to do it. And real quick, to a point that you made before, Mike, to him sulking, as Stan, as you guys like to say across the pond, throwing his toys out the pram. I kind of like that. I kind of want to see that fire from a player. Mikey, you're a baseball guy. Imagine, how old are you? Sorry, not to put you on the spot live on air.
Whoa.
Well, let me. I don't need to know how old you are.
I'm 39. I'm 39 until I turn 40.
But you're a baseball guy.
Yes.
Imagine a manager going to get Bob Gibson after the 6th inning, and he's only thrown 80 pitches. Bob Gibson would punch the manager. Like,
yeah.
You've got 2 seconds to walk away, or I'm going to hit you in the mouth. And then you know what I'm going to do? Then I'm going to throw at the dude in the batter's box. I'm going to hit him too, just to prove a point. But you see pitchers in baseball, and Stan, if you'll forgive me the American sports reference, you see pitchers get taken out of a game, and boy, oh boy, they are pissed, especially if they're dealing. And it's like, oh, the analytics say that I should take you out of the game if you're at 80 pitches after 5 innings. Meanwhile, he's throwing a no-hitter, a shutout, and now he's getting yanked. So if he's playing like shit and he comes off and he's pissed because he knows he's playing poorly, different story. And I've seen that with pitchers too, where, yeah, I just walked the bases loaded, gave up a grand slam, and then gave up a double to the next two batters and you're taking me out, the pitcher's going to throw his glove and smack the water cooler off the bench because he's pissed off at himself. But I want to see that fire. So if he's got that in him, don't take me off. Leave me out there because I'm a difference maker. I'm going to go get you your moment. I kind of like that.
But I think you're being a bit harsh when we say, he doesn't track back. I don't think he stands just above the halfway line, and then in a defensive moment, he watches the whole team run away from him, and he stands there rooted to the spot with his arms folded, and then waits for everybody to come back up to make him onside again. I'm pretty sure that he does go back. Maybe he doesn't sprint back at full power, but I'm pretty sure he does go back in defensive moments to at least make himself available to be an outlet if the ball breaks away. Maybe he's not going in with sliding tackles, but, it's not his game. He's a more forward-thinking player, but I'm pretty sure that he does try to help out defensively, that he doesn't just stand there, scratching his arse while everyone else is down the other end trying to defend in the box, and he's just waiting to be played on the side again.
Yeah, and you know what? The guy that comes to mind, again, when I think of that, I'll say, debate, if you will, Haaland. Now, you don't really see Haaland tracking back to play defense. He does track back simply because you can't stand on the attacking side of midfield and be a cherry picker, as we like to say. So he's not going to do that. But then again, Erling Haaland doesn't exactly join the defensive effort all that much,
And players like that, when they do go in for the tackle, they usually make a fucking balls up of it anyway and get sent off because that's not what they do. They're not very good at it.
Yeah. Here's something else that just kind of on the defensive side of the off the ball, if we can, Mike, not necessarily tracking back, but to your point of would he do it, or would Arteta allow him to get away with it, or things like what I would wonder is will he press? Say that we go because Odegaard when he's on the field he's the presser and he's the best at it. And I think that part of, not to go off on a tangent here, Odegaard's game is so underrated. But it's usually Odegaard and Saka, or it was Odegaard and Trossard, who would press high off the ball. I would wonder if Vinny Jr. would be willing to do it, because that's a lot of running, and if he would be any good at it. So I think there's a world that exists where we don't need 10 guys behind the ball defending our asses off when the score is 0-0. Go score. And kind of back to your thing about trying to rile me up and reel me in. Go BX, very good point. Yeah, Kai's also pretty great at it as well. But go score goals. Like we've got a pretty good, and I say that tongue in cheek because I think it's the best back line in football and one of the best goalkeepers in the world. We're not so horrible at defense that we need all 10 outfield players behind the ball. So but to your point, and it is well taken, Mike, I would be very curious to see how Arteta handles something like that. What does he ask of him off the ball?
Yeah, I'm doing research about.
I can hear you typing. You're doing a Google search.
Yeah, because I'm like doing stuff like that. It's like, yeah, his defensive stuff is like it's really low. It's like it's below 20%. It does align with the Yamal and it does align with Mbappe.
The thing is, like for me, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but like defensive work rate, like if I see our front three, two wingers and our number 9, if their defensive work rate, if you could quantify it, and it's 20% less, if it's 15 to 25%, let's just say, that's 3 players of 10. I'm okay with that. I trust this team. I trust the other 7 players that are out on the pitch to be able to defend. I go back.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And to Stan's point, maybe we got so used to Martinelli because like I'm reading the stats just because I'm comparing them for offensively and defensively, and of course like total goals in the season, La Liga and the Champions. It's 21 combined for Vinny, 7 for Martinelli. Assists, 11-6. Okay, chances created. Vinny Jr., 91 to Nelly's 22.
Wow.
But then you get into the clearances, and it's like 3-21. Interceptions, 2-9, and it's stuff like that. So like they're polar opposite players,
Yeah.
to say the very least. And I don't know, right, if Martinelli would be this version of Martinelli in PSG or Barcelona. You understand, like in a different system. So
right.
that's not me just exclusively bagging on Martinelli. I've grown very used to him. I've just I find it difficult to bridge the gap between the world in which we live in right now with Mikel Arteta's system and me saying he's going to allow Vinny Jr. to press less. I find it difficult to like, you know, bridge that gap. But as well, because as I said in the past, that every season is a new season. You have to continuously adapt. You have to change the way that you play. I can remember 3 to 4 different type of Arsenals under him. You know, like we weren't always the grindy 1-0 to the Arsenal that we were last season. So like so it's not like we've never played attacking football.
I don't understand why it's almost like you're describing Vinny Jr. as Dimitar Berbatov, like this static player that doesn't run back, that doesn't run forward, just waits in space to receive the ball. Pressing's part of his game.
I was going to say,
even if another player is
scored
pressing,
a lot of goals, Dan.
you know, he just said 91. Was it 90 odd chances that he was involved in creating?
Yeah.
Wait,
I mean, he gets involved. He does press. Him and Mbappe, they run because they know that if think about it, you're a young defender, right? You're playing for Bournemouth. The ball comes to you from the goalkeeper, and you know usually where you can take a 2 second to look who to pass to. You've got Vinny Jr. tearing down on you. You're going to try and get that ball away from you as quickly as possible, and mistakes will happen. Balls will spill. Someone will be running in, and then you'll get goals where you've literally walked it around the keeper and tapped it in because you've got these faces running towards you. You don't have the time now to think. And I think that's part of his game. And he uses it. And even if he's done at the one pressing and someone's coming in like an Odegaard, he's running up that flank. So when he does press and he gets the ball, he's available. And that's where you get that figure, 90 odd chances created because he's in the danger area.
All the time.
90, what did you say, Mike?
91
chances created?
Yes.
Compared to what we've got. And he compared it to what we...
14 for Martinelli. I didn't add up Trossard, obviously.
That's a ceiling raiser.
No. This is the question I'm going to ask. He created 9... Now, Mike, is that all comps or is that just...
You know what you're thinking right now? You're like, fuck it, keep Gyökeres. Fuck Alvarez. Gyökeres for the tap-in, baby.
No.
91 chances created?
I'm thinking 91 chances created by himself. Did Arsenal as an entire club last year create 91 chances?
Yeah. La Liga and Champions by himself, 91 chances created.
Let me ask you guys a question, right? If our window played out where we ended up having to drop a lot of money on Bruno Gummy Bears, and then we had to drop a huge bulk of money on...
It took me a second. I was lost. I was completely lost for a second.
Stan, don't lose your train of thought, but I've got to say this. Chris Berman on ESPN came up with nicknames like on the fly for players. It was crazy. I love that you're doing this. We've got to write them down, and I'm going to start giving you names.
I've been doing
like,
these are the names. This isn't, if you watch on Fanso, I can't, Guerreros. That's Gummy Bears. Gabriel Megalegs. You know, they're the ones that I and obviously as well, you got the England manager, Tommy Tickle.
Tommy Tickle, yeah.
It took me a split
or would
second.
It be, or could it be Tommy Tummy Tickle? Anyway, but, finish your thoughts, Dan. I'm sorry.
I can't remember where I was going with that. What was I saying? Yeah, sorry. Here's a question. Right? If our transfer window played out where we had to drop a lot of money, obviously, to get Bruno away from Newcastle, and then we had to drop a huge load of cash on Vinny, and maybe we brought in, let's say, like a defender for not a lot of money to help us, you know, because of what's happening in our defensive line, perhaps. I mean, I think we've still got enough. But let's say that's all we brought in. There was no Alvarez. and we've got everyone else that we have in the squad. Would you be happy with that window? I would. To bring in Bruno and those two players really lift the ceiling for me, both of them.
Bruno G, Vinny, a defender, Solis.
Yeah, Solis as well.
Ilan Melier.
Forgot about Solis
And
Melier.
That's it. If that were the window, yeah, I'm thrilled because you know what? Here's the other thing too. The old American adage of defense wins championships, but you know what the best defense is? It's good offense. And something that OG Ryan and I have debated over the years, like, well, if you like, because I always everybody's so worried about this possession number. Dominate possession. Possession doesn't score you goals. Possession may keep the ball away from your opponent and prevent them from scoring goals, but it doesn't score you goals. But in the same vein, possession and all we do is score. Maybe we don't really need to defend. So the defender stand that you're talking about, because we are worried about Saliba. So I would like to see a competent, preferably Premier League proven defender come in to help there. Maybe that becomes not as important because you've brought in three players in Solis, Bruno Guimaraes, and Vinny Jr., who just say, good luck getting the ball, and we're going to bag 3 or 4 a game. But to your question, I'm thrilled. I'm over the moon at that win. I'm over the moon at that window.
I'm in love with the idea that weeks ago I saw this tweet saying Arsenal looking to bringing back Mavropanos. And something just tickled my insides, and I was like, yeah, you know what? He helped us last season. Bring him back.
For the pure nostalgia of it, I would actually I'd take it.
Absolutely. Come on back, dude.
For pure nostalgia.
He's probably one of West Ham's best players, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah. But another question, okay, it's another question. Vinny Jr. or Alvarez? For me, Vinny Jr. still, all day.
I think I've been too outspoken versus Gyökeres to back down and not say Alvarez. So again, for the sake of consistency, I'm gonna stick to my guns here.
I think with Alvarez,
Gyökeres isn't being sold. All you're doing is slightly, maybe pushing him down in the pecking order. Maybe.
Well, see, everything that I see regarding Alvarez includes Gyökeres going the other way.
Yeah, this definitely. That's like. I think the last tweet, and again, we're getting live tweets here, and we choose to believe, but it's good for the basis of an entertainment conversation. The last thing I read was Arsenal 100 million plus Gyökeres.
Oh my! Are you kidding me?
So does that change? Like, I don't know where you were gonna go. I don't know. I love how you guys are able to put a valuation on a player and say yes or no. Because I'm horrible at that. I'm horrible. I don't do they want this money, I'm gonna walk away from this deal. I don't. Well, as Stan said in the first 5 minutes, it's not my money.
Mike, I'll tell you this. Think of it this way. All right. So Alvarez is going to command a pretty healthy ransom. And I would say in the neighborhood of probably 120, 125 million. I would say probably euros. So we'll talk in euros. Gyökeres in euros was 60 million euros. Now, production way down from what he did in Portugal, but in a much better and a much more competitive league, he's still bagged, well, in all competitions, 22, 23 goals, I think. And there's definitely a player there. So I would simply look at, okay, what could we sell Gyökeres for right now? If we were to sell him, just out and out sell him, I wouldn't necessarily, I just want to break even. I wouldn't necessarily, because I don't think you can I don't think you can turn a profit on him, but I want to break even on him.
Premier League winner.
What's that, Stan?
Premier League winner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want to break even there. I just don't think you're gonna. I don't think you're gonna turn a profit, and if you do, it's negligible at best.
I think you could get 70 for him.
Euros, Stan?
70 million. How old is he now?
28, 27, 28.
Maybe 60 million and add-ons.
I just think if you got rid of Gyökeres and you broke even on it, So
£67 million, I think he cost.
So if you include that in the cost of Julian Alvarez, that basically would cut Alvarez's cost in half. If it's Gyökeres at $100 million, go get Vinny. I think Alvarez is a more versatile player.
I love this conversation, dude.
But what you're doing there is as well, you're shedding 200 grand off the wage bill as well by doing that. So you're bringing in an Alvarez, so you're going to pay good money to. But, Gyökeres as well, he's on 200. So you throw him in with the deal, you kind of get rid of that.
And here's another thing, too, is what does this say? What does this also say to players that we could potentially be linked with? That, we went out, we spent 60, 70 odd million on this guy, bringing him in when everybody knew we needed a number 9. And, you know what? I like this shiny toy. But I understand it's a business. I get that. But all of a sudden now you put a little bit of doubt into a player's head that maybe I don't last but a year. I'm just
we should have both. The correct answer is we should be keeping both. We should have a squad where we can choose between an Alvarez, a Gyökeres, a Havertz, and a Marino. I agree. That's where we should be. If we've got those 4 there, because I'm hoping obviously that Gabriel Jesus goes, not because I don't like the guy, just because again that high wage needs to be. He's on just over 200 bags, something like that, 220 maybe. That needs to go.
Jesus, I think, is on 350.
No, he's not. He's not pounds. He's not, because the highest paid player is Saka. He's on about 300.
Right. Isn't Gabriel Jesus like top 5?
Havertz is like 290. He was our highest paid player. Was Havertz 280, 290, and I think maybe Jesus is on par with that or just below, like 260 pounds. 260,000. But what I'm saying is, if we could choose between Alvarez, Gyökeres, Havertz, and Marino, I think that puts us in a good place.
Look at Gabriel Jesus gets paid more than Saliba. He's third on the list. He's third on the list.
265,000 pounds a week.
A lot of dough, right?
No. But anyway, well, and this actually kind of leads. Well, for me, if it's Alvarez or Vinny Jr., if it's one of those two, it's Vinny Jr. Even if we're keeping Gyökeres and we were to just buy Alvarez, it's Vinny Jr. He's the better player.
That's a statement as well. It's a world statement as well.
I tweeted out today that if we do this is the kind of a signing and a statement that basically puts the world on notice. Puts the footballing world on notice. We're done. I say this with the caveat that I need to see Arteta develop an attack, but this is putting the world on notice that we're done pissing around with trying to win a game 1-0. Hopefully. I think Julian Alvarez is a bit of the same thing, but I don't like his attitude. And I loved Julian Alvarez 3-4 years ago. I was all in on Arsenal trying to get Julian Alvarez. Now, with this attitude of I'm going to force my way out, like Stan, you and I talked last week about it, but then, he wants Barcelona. I get that, and if it were like, we'll entertain the move, blah blah blah, in a couple of years. But what if he agitates in a year to go to Barcelona? I don't want Alvarez. Bring me Vinny Jr. Bring me Vinny Jr. And I'll have no choice but to accept Alvarez if we.
Bring me Gilberto Mora.
Mike, stick around after the show. I have a story for you.
Bring me any Mexican player ever to the Arsenal.
But
Ochoa, come on.
There is even a world where, could you imagine if we had a window where, because we have made a lot of money and we're quite in a nice place financially, could you imagine a window where, a Martinelli leaves, Trossard's left, and we bring in Alvarez, Vinny Jr. and Bruno Gummy Bears? I mean, that would be insane. Imagine if you put all 3 of them in. That would just be nuts.
I did say earlier, we were talking about transfers very loosely prior to getting linked to all these big names. And it was my belief, and this is kind of similar to what you said, Stan, earlier in the podcast, is I wasn't expecting a transfer window in which we bring in 7 players like we did in the past. I thought we were going to bring in 3 players that are valued like 90 plus. like statement. Like, to your point, we're from where we're shopping now. We're shopping on a higher bracket, and you know what does that say to other players, Tanner? It has been the mantra of Real Madrid that you could always be upgraded on.
Yeah.
And with that logic, somebody could always replace you. And
There's
and
always
so
somebody better.
yeah, so it's one of those things where, like, look, it's not the first time he would do it, right? I mean, like, first couple, like, Ben White came in and he took Saliba's spot when he was out on loan developing. Raya came in and took Ramsdale's spot.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I'll be right
Ramsdale.
back.
Raya came in and took Ramsdale's spot, right? That is very similar if you think about it. Like, Ramsdale was a beloved player, and like, it was reported that Ateta wanted Raya. He got Ramsdale for like a year or two, and then he went back to Raya like, nah, I still want Raya. And so, like, it's not the first time he does it. I just think maybe potentially the feelings are a little bit different in the sense that it's an outfield player. But it's happened in the past, so I don't know. But to your point, and to BX's point, I don't know how often it happens, but pretty out there for a player to come in one season. We've seen it. We've seen players come in and have a horrible season with the club, and then leave on loan until they figure out where they're going to go permanently. But I don't think we see a lot of, oh, I was part of the team that helped win the league for the first time in 20 plus years, and now I'm getting shipped out. Like that, I would say that might be a higher level of cutthroatness that a lot of us, including myself, are used to. One little point, because you and I tend to align a little bit more on some of our thoughts with Mikel Arteta, something that BX pointed out, and I already lost the comment, but it was something along the line of one of the most recurring criticism with Mikel Arteta was handling big egos.
Yeah. And
if Vinny Jr. comes through, there you go. If Vinny Jr. comes through, this is going to be a good test for him. He's still a young manager. He's still, it's a massive club as his first job. Curious to see how it plays out. So, like, you're putting your man to the test at this point. If Vinny Jr. comes in, you're putting him to the test and be like, okay, we're gonna see how much this changes the dynamic within our club, in our locker room. So I thought it was an interesting comment. It was a fair comment, because I think a lot of the criticism was, oh, Mika sold Ozil because he doesn't like big egos, right? It turned into something like that, and so
same thing with Aubameyang too.
The same thing with Aubameyang. So so it would be interesting to see, to say the very least. But if we bring in Vinny Jr. and all of a sudden we send him to church, he's well behaved, the man's honest, he doesn't go down easy, we're cooking, boys.
But there's a key difference. When the problems with Ozil and Aubameyang, you have to remember that it was Mikel Arteta. He was the one that was coming into their house. They were already there and had been at Arsenal for a while. Yeah. This is a situation where, we're looking to buy Vinny Jr. He has to make that decision. He's going to talk to the manager, and he's going to come because obviously, he wants to be there, or else he would say no. He would look at other options or stay where he is. So he's coming into Mikel Arteta's house. It's a different situation, and I think one of the key reasons why this deal could even happen is the same thing. Look what's happened to Vinny Jr. He's got Mourinho coming into his house, and Mourinho's coming in with the full backing of ownership, full backing, and they've had some, a spiky relationship in the past. That could also be a key factor in Vinny wanting to make a move. Why would he not want to come to the Premier League and come to a team that's just won the Championship, a team that he's seen up close, who beat him in his own backyard?
Handily.
So I think that we are a good advertisement. And I think it would be one of those deals where, he showed interest in Liverpool as well. I remember not so long ago, he showed interest in making a move to Liverpool. So I think he might be open to coming to the Premier League.
I think kind of back to the way we started the program, and the tweet that all the interest or I lost the tweet now, but that it's been approved on all levels. I wonder how much into Real Madrid that extends. Does that go to Real Madrid and say, well, their ownership is also willing to sell him? He's open to the move. So if by all levels, Ornstein is saying all levels on both sides of this equation of this deal, then you would I would have to think that if he were not interested in coming either to England in general, Arsenal specifically, I would like to think that this fire would have been quelled weeks ago, because this is the first real concrete evidence that we've seen that we are interested. But the links have been there for 2 months, 3 months at this point.
I'll say an upgrade of Rodrigo. We were linked to Rodrigo last season.
Yeah.
We upgraded on the player prior to from window to window. I got a little bet for you guys, and I'm gonna throw this bet out there. I'm on video. Do not delete this. All right, Tanner. I'll throw it out. I'll take all of you guys, as long as he plays 1,800 minutes. 1,800 minutes in the league, which is 20 games worth. Okay, I think this is fair. If he scores over 14 and a half goals, I'll bet a 10 or 2 to all of you guys.
Wait, if he plays how many minutes or games?
18 minutes, which is 20 games.
1,800 minutes.
We're allowing 1,800. Thank you. I'm allowing some flex for.
Okay, I like the minutes idea.
I'm gonna put him because, dude, if he gets injured for 6 months,
sure.
Is what it is, right? I'm not going to criticize him, but
all competitions
in La Liga or in the league.
In the Premier League.
I'm not taking your bet because chances are I would take the bet and then that would jinx him. So it would be a double whammy for me that he doesn't bag 14, or it would be I'll lose the money. Number one, he won't score 14, or the worst case scenario, he gets hurt.
Let me buy you a beer, Stan. Let's buy each other a beer if this happens.
I'm in.
There needs to be.
I like it.
There's a thing called Buy Me a Coffee, and it's just like a little people send you money and buy you a coffee. We ought to do that. We ought to do that on the show. Buy me a beer. Buy me a beer.
I like it.
You can help fund the cost of paying StreamYard these exorbitant.
But also, just another point.
Ways.
When Mike was saying earlier about, maybe this is just a Vinny Jr. plan to get leverage, talk to other clubs so that Real Madrid raise their contract. But what if the incoming manager at Real Madrid doesn't want him anyway? Maybe that might not even be on the table, right? I mean, Mourinho has come out already and said that there are some players that just aren't going to figure. Who knows whether Rodrigo might be one of those as well, because they have crossed swords. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's very well documented, the rift between Mourinho and Vinny Jr.
One just happened last season, right?
Well,
was it not last season when we were
playing
in Portugal?
Yeah. Thank you. And there was, Vinny took some racist abuse, and I guess Mourinho basically came out and defended. Apparently, it was on the pitch. It was from a player, and Mourinho came out and defended the player. Defended his player. I don't know what was said exactly, but I know that there was a defense of his player, almost like no, he didn't say that. It was, he said it, but here's why. Like, well, you're justifying something to that.
The player said something could have covered his mouth, and then Vinny Jr. obviously to Vinny, and Vinny Simmons straight away was like to the referee, blah blah blah. There was a commotion, and Mourinho got involved by the pitch with him, and then he came out in his press conference and said
that might have been I think that might have been the birth of the role.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And then in the press conference, Mourinho sort of got into it a little bit and was a bit fruity, and it just wasn't good between them.
The last thing I want to bring up is the wages. I mean, something that I heard. Arsenal Vision they put a thing out today, Elliot and Clive, and a point that Elliot made is we always hear what these guys make per week. Right, and I know why, and for anybody that wonders why, You always hear what footballers make per week. I encourage you, if you have Netflix, to watch a program. It's like a docudrama called The English Game. It's 6 episodes. It's actually a pretty good watch. It's 6 1-hour long episodes, but you'll understand then why the reporting is per week, not per year. And I will agree with what Elliot said on Vision, that I think it needs to start trending more that way. And that's just a journalism thing, and it's nitpicky. But he makes, I think, roughly 20 million a year, 20 million euros a year.
15.
Right now. Is it 15? So his wages, when we talk about his wages annually, and if you want to compare that then to what some quarterbacks in the NFL make, what some starting pitchers in Major League Baseball make, what some of these NBA players are going to make. I mean, LeBron James just signed for the Philadelphia 76ers. Just one more reason for me to hate Philadelphia. But he signed for, relatively speaking, very little money. But something I didn't know is that he had played on a max contract. The NBA have what they call max contracts for the last 8 years. Or no, it was since 2014. So it was like the last almost, 12 years. LeBron James has played on a max contract. And it's something ridiculous. It's like 50 or 60 million dollars, American dollars per year. So when we're talking about the number, okay, just the number, forget currency, but just the number, footballers on average are probably, they're not on par with NFL players. They're not on par with NBA players. It really isn't in terms of the industry of sport, the business of sport. It's not a ton of money. So I'm curious as to if he were to come in here and say, I want 450 grand a week. And I'm going to do on my calculator some quick math. That's not even 25 million a year. On 450 grand a week, it's 23.4 million per year. Would you be okay with him being the highest paid player coming in straight away? Stan, I'll start with you.
Well, as I understand it, he's being paid 15 million euros now.
Okay.
A year. Madrid have offered him a contract of 20 million, and he says he wants 30 million. That's why he hasn't signed another contract. But it's like, when you play FIFA and you sign a player and you go through the negotiation, and you can offer the weekly wage, and you have to offer, once you've done the transfer fee and you're talking the negotiating with the player, you have to make them a weekly salary offer, but you also have to offer a signing on fee. And sometimes it offsets the other. If they're asking for, I don't know, let's say they're asking for 80,000 a week, and they're looking for a signing on fee of 500,000, and you say, no, we're going to offer you a signing on fee of 400,000, you will see that they'll agree to that, but the weekly wage will slightly go up. So one kind of offsets the other. Bigger the signing on fee, maybe sometimes the wage comes down, right? But my main concern with this, as enthusiastic as I am about signing Vinny, which I've showed so far this evening, the one thing that does worry me is that there is a very popular clause that top footballers get in their contract. And I think I remember hearing when Bukayo Saka signed his contract, I think I remember hearing when someone was, I don't know what I was listening to, whatever, they were breaking it down. I can't remember who it was, so I can't give any credibility. But the clause came up. Some top footballers, sometimes it could be the captain of the club, when they sign a contract, they have a clause that says, if you go and sign someone else and you bring them in and they're going to get paid more than me, then my salary has to be put on the same level as them. Some players have that. I think Tony Adams might have even had that contract. It's part of signing a new big contract, Imagine Tony Adams was the captain. His contract was running down at one point. They wanted to probably re-sign him for another, because he was, he came in young, right? You're offering something like Saka another 3, 4, 5 years. And at the time, remember, when he signed his contract, Havertz was the highest paid player at the club. It's Havertz.
Yeah.
And I think now he has exceeded that by maybe 10, 20,000. He's on just, I think, 300,000, something like that. It's more than what Havertz is. But I think he also has that clause. If you bring someone else in, bring in whoever you want. I don't care who it is. But wherever you pay that person, you've got to now pay me that. It's a very popular clause. So that could be something that could be a stumbling block, depending on how much Vinny wants, right? He's on 15 million. He won't sign with Madrid because he wants double that. I don't know what that breaks down to a week, but it's going to far exceed what Saka's on, I would imagine. It's going to probably take it up to around about what? 400, 500,000 a week?
575,000 a week, roughly, is what 30 million gross would break down to. It's a little more than 500. It's 576 and change.
And what if he has some kind of deal where, you know, some players have deals where it's like, I want to earn this amount, but I want that net. Because they don't want to play about with tax. You know, some countries, you don't pay a lot of tax. You know, like someone like Trossard, who's going to go to Besiktas, I think it is, he may get a lower wage than what he's being paid at Arsenal, but he's not going to pay 40% tax.
Going to keep more of the money.
Or 60% tax, whatever it is in England. So it works out better for him. Whereas someone like Vinny Jr. coming to England, his tax bills got higher.
Yeah. I had a thought in my head here, and I guess kind of what I'm gonna say is I don't think even if Saka has that clause in his contract, and now you've got to pay two players roughly, let's just say £1 million a week. That's not a crazy amount of money. And when you look at the Kronk, I mean, relatively speaking, within the business and the world of sport, it's not a lot of money. When you look at what the Cronkies do in their other sports, I'm fairly certain that Nikola Jokic with the Denver Nuggets is probably on a max NBA contract. They just brought in Myles Garrett, who is the arguably the best defensive player in the NFL, and he's on big money. They're not averse to spending money to go and get what they want. And to that point, something else that I did hear today is that Josh Kroenke is taking a more hands-on part in these specific negotiations. So I think that's a good thing, because I think if you know, Josh is involved in the negotiations, that says to me that I think he wants Vinny Jr. pretty badly as well. And he may be running things saying, look, yeah, I understand you're chief executive, and, you know, Berta, you're the guy that we trust to, you know, make these deals. But look, I'm the owner, and I'm the guy that's going to sign the check, and I'm telling you to go spend this money and go get him right now. And I kind of think that that's where this may be going if in fact Josh Kroenke is involved in these negotiations. So I, just to answer my own question, would not be at all concerned with the wage bill or the wage structure. And I know that some people are like, oh, Arsenal are going to have to blow their wage structure out of the water. This is just kind of the going rate now. And again, it goes back to, you can't have sticker shock on these numbers. You just can't. Because this is the world that sports, that professional athletes and team owners, it's the world they live in now. So the Cronkies, your Kroenke Sports and Entertainment, your Arsenal Football Club, I said this to you, like, you can't be shopping at the bins, which is it's a kind of a thrifting thing. But
we shop at Harrods now. That's where we shop. We shop at Harrods.
Yeah, that's because there's nothing left.
Yeah.
There's nothing left. You shop at the bins when you shop at the bins if you're I want to say if you're Coventry, if you're a second tier Italian side, you shop at the bins. Your Arsenal Football Club, you're shopping at duty free at Heathrow, at Dubai International, at Harrods in central London. Like, those are the places you're shopping at anywhere on the Champs-Élysées in Paris. You get the point here, boys. You're shopping at the most expensive high-end boutique stores now, because those are the only stores that are going to make you the person you want to be. They're the only stores that are going to have the product that you want, that you covet. So Mike, I'm going to give you a last word, then I'm going to go to Stan, and then I think we're going to get out of here. But anything is on the table, fellas. But Mike, I'll toss it over to you and have at it.
No,
Did you get a chance to chime in on the wage bill?
no,
On
on the wage thing, like Stan hit a lot of it on the nail. It is it's a concern, but I also think it's something that was going to organically happen as the level of the club as a whole went up.
Yeah,
So,
good point. Very good point.
So, yeah, it's kind of a byproduct,
Yeah.
right? You can't, because you can't add Bruno Gummy Bears, Vinny Jr., and let's say Alvarez if we're really playing FIFA, right? And expect your wages to still be substantially lesser than like City, United, Chelsea, and say, yeah, we're all out. We spend. You can't have a 150 million transfer with a 200 wage, like 200K wage. It's just these things go hand in hand. I see those big numbers, and you start to be like, that's scary numbers. But then yes, everything factors in. How competitive are we going to be? Are we going to continue to exceed and move on to at the very least to the semifinals of the Champions League? Are we going to continue to smash record sales in kits sold, et cetera, et cetera? So I think everything goes in hand, and we go into this stratosphere in which, it's not for the faint of heart. The higher you get, the harder it becomes to breathe out there. And you start seeing these really big numbers, but I generally think it's just a byproduct of being a. Is it fair to say top 5 team in the world? I don't think that's disingenuous, or I don't think that's detached with reality. Like I might have like a Spurs or a Chelsea fan telling me that we're shit, but football on the pitch says otherwise, and results say otherwise. So I don't think putting Arsenal in a top 5 league is too much of a stretch. I generally believe I'm being grounded here. So yeah, I think it goes hand in hand. So big number scary. However, I do think it's in par with reality, to say the very least.
It's just simply the going rate. And the last thing I will say, and then Mike, your final thought after this. One other thing I thought of is, look, shirt sales alone, give Vinny Jr. as part of any contract that he would sign with us, give him a portion of his jersey sales.
There'll be image rights.
Exactly. I was literally just going to say name and image rights exactly. So if there's a problem with wage, chuck that in there too. Name, image, and likeness, as they say in collegiate sports here in America. Give him a portion of that, because he's going to generate. He himself will generate revenue for this football club. Mike, I toss it back to you for your final thought.
No, the byproduct of being a big football club was my final thought. I thought we were closing out on the wages. I didn't want to add. I thought this was a excellent show, to be honest, guys. I mean, I threw all my doubts at you guys. We had a nice, healthy debate. We were going back and forth, nothing respectful, and yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I'd say the very least. I like going back and forth with you guys. We didn't have Ryan in between, so I couldn't tug his leg too much. So I actually had to behave and be a little bit more professional, because Lord knows when you get both kids on this podcast, we're horrible. So no, excellent. Had a lot of fun, dude. It was a good debate.
No, it's always a pleasure having you on the show, man. You're a part of the team here at the Arsenal Standard. We'll look forward to the next one. Stan, a final word from you.
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of place where I want to see my football club operating, to have ambition. They're showing ambition that we're prepared to have conversations with one of the best footballers, not just even in this position. It's fair to say that in the world, even when it comes to, Ballon d'Ors, he's in the top 5 quite consistently. He's considered to be one of the best players. And that's exactly, I mean, look at it the other way, right? From an Arsenal standpoint, we were all disappointed in the way like someone like Robin van Persie decided to leave us. And you can't, even how much you might not like it, you can't just erase some of those goals that he scored. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But then now you put yourself in the Man United camp. Are they sitting there going, well, we don't want Robin van Persie. Look at the way he's leaving Arsenal. We don't want that guy bringing all that baggage. What did he do? He went to Man United and they won the league.
Yeah.
And he put another trophy in his personal cabinet. Yeah, as an Arsenal fans, we all dislike him. We don't really even speak his name that much, even though he was absolutely fantastic. To lose someone like Thierry Henry for the output that he had, and to be able to follow it up with a Robin van Persie was almost seamless.
Yeah.
Very little drop off, right? A similar quality, a flair player, made you stand up, but you know he left us with a bad taste in his mouth. But Man United, he went there and benefited them, and maybe Vinny can do the same.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm very positive about this, that we should be having these kinds of conversations. I really hope it happens. And if he's a bad egg and all that, we sort that out later. Therapy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Take him into a dungeon and punish him. I don't know what it would take, but as long as he can do some of that stuff that I've seen him do on the pitch in an Arsenal shirt, it would be magical.
Worst, Dan. Let's get him married, like the rest of the group.
But I just want to say as well, you know, it's fun to be on. Good to chat to you, both of you, Tanner and Mikey. Enjoyed it. Got some good perspectives all around, I think. And yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, for sure. Just, I guess one final thing there, Stan. You said something, and this will be my kind of final word before I do the final outro. Is there a player in this team that really makes you stand up? You know, and I'm not trying to, I don't necessarily want to get into a conversation about it. But he will make you get up out of your seat. If you're at the ground, he will make you. When the ball is on his foot and he's running, he's going to make you stand up. You're going to get up off your seat, and you are going to see what is he going to do. And this team, I think, is currently constructed to kind of lacks that. What's coming next?
Only Saka does that. If Saka gets the ball and he's going to cut in, we know that something might happen. But other than that, you know, we're like Gabriel Megalegs is going up for a corner. We all stand up out of our seats. That's where we are. We're like,
the only reason we do that is because we can't see.
Yeah.
But Vinny Jr. is the player that will make you get up out of your seat. When he's 40 yards away from goal and the ball is on his foot, you're going to stand up to watch. That is it. My many thanks to BX Gunner being in the chat, everybody else that was in there as well. My thanks to Mikey. My thanks to Stan, of course. Great additions to the Arsenal standard, and we'll certainly look forward to the next one. I don't know if there will be one tomorrow night since we did this, and the Ryans unfortunately are going to miss out because I can't do it Monday, and that's just those are the breaks. So with that in mind, it's been good footy talk. We'll see you out there.